Hey everyone, today we're going to keep building our small planner for a small business planner. The idea here is to keep building a complete system for a small company. So we started with financials, so payables, receivables, and so on. And today we are going to add sales, so CRM, and we are going to do this in a way that's integrated with the financial part as well. And we are also going to keep building the financial system, financial management system, and the sales system together. So maybe will do a few structures for the sales side, come back, build a little bit more on the financial side, and so on. So that's the idea of these building sessions. We are going to show you how to build an integrated system for your company. So for different teams or for different operations, you're going to see how it can seamlessly work between teams. And as always, if you have any kind of suggestions, questions, just send us a comment and we are going to show this live to you guys as well. So,
Yeah,
Cruz, where should we start today?
yeah.
Do you want
So
to
just to
do
give
just do like a quick review of what we did last week?
exactly. So just as a quick recap, what we built last week was basically the finance part. There are some other things that we could keep doing here, so we can get back to that. But basically, the idea here is that we have a part for payables, receivables, and we also have places to register clients and vendors, right? So we have the payables, we have the receivables here, and you can see that we have conditional colors on the tables that we built. So if something is pending and the due date is before today, this is going to turn red to show you that this is pending, that this is outstanding. And we also have the clients and vendors databases here, and the client part is going to be used in a lot of different parts of the SMB planner that we're building. But that's the general idea, right? Last week, basically, we built the structure, the foundation of this template with a placeholder homepage that we're going to fill out with other information here later. So the idea here is to keep building, and now we're going to go into the CRM, to the sales part of the SMB planner, right? So the good thing about the CRM is that we're not going to have to build a lot of structures here, right? Uh, Basically, all we're going to have to do is build one table, which is opportunities, right? And so we can spend more time building a good database for the opportunities, and then we're going to link the opportunities to the client's database and to the receivables database, because basically we're going to automate so that when a deal is closed, we're going to create the client register and a receivable automatically, right? So that's the general idea. So let's start by building the opportunities database, right? So I'm going to click here on the upper right corner in the create new tools icon, and I'm going to click here on new blank table. So this is going to create a new database for me, and this is the database that I'm going to use to create the CRM. So what we're going to do is call this opportunities SMB, so it's a little bit easier to find it later. And now what we have to do is think about the structure that we want for the CRM for the opportunities, right? We can keep building it later on. Nothing that we do here is like fixed. We can always go back and change it later. And as soon as we upload this to the gallery, the template gallery, you could also change what we do, right? So if you need more information, if you need more components, if you need other features, you can always keep adding to it, right? But right now, we're going to think about the basics, right? So for every opportunity, basically I'm going to have a title, right? And I'm going to have, and thinking about it, but I think I want your opinion on this. Do we treat this as a lead register? So we have name, contact information, and email, and so on, or do we create a new database for leads that we link to the opportunities? What do you think it's better here?
Um, just so people understand, usually when you're talking about CRMs, the traditional way to do this is to have a separate table for leads and opportunities, basically. However, if you are a small company, it's usually simple. It's usually easier to manage your opportunities if you have only the opportunity table and the client table, for example. So I would skip the leads table. However, if you want to do this, you can also do this. We have this built on a few templates as well. But the idea here is to be complete but simple at the same time. So I would skip this table just because it's easier to manage. Unless you believe there is a huge advantage of having this extra step there for Cruz.
No, I think that that would be my suggestion as well. I'm going to skip the leads table. Yeah, I just wanted your opinion because maybe you think that's important to have it here. But like you said, and I agree with you, is that for most small businesses, it's not very productive to have them as separate things, right? Because then you start having a lot of segregated data that small companies don't actually have to spend too much energy like separating these and treating them as separate things. So I'm not going to create the leads table. I'm going to use this part as opportunities, right? Uh, and we're going to do some creative automations here and conditionals so that we know if we have to create a new client or not. Because one thing that's important here in the CRM is that I can have pre-existing clients, right? I can usually I if I'm a service company, I can work on pre-existing clients and try to sell more services. So it's important that we have this in the CRM. But I can also be working with new possible new clients, and I also want to have this here as well, right? So the idea here is that we have a title for the opportunity. I'm going to create a connection here to the client's database so that uh, if we have a oops client, so that if we're working on a pre-existing client, I can just select that client. But if I don't have a pre-existing client, I can still keep going with all of the process. We will all of the deal with the opportunity, and later on, it's going to create the client register automatically, right? So I'm going to create here a connection to the clients table. I'm going to sort clients alphabetically. And let's see
One thing that we
here.
could do here, like I don't know if you have, I don't remember if you built this on the client table, but we could have like an active client or something just to show how the filter work as well.
I don't have it yet, so let's go there and do that.
Just to get, just so everyone understand, basically what you can do is you can add filters for connected information. So if you have a list of clients that are active and a few of them are not active, so you don't maybe not even active or not active. Maybe you have a client that you don't want to sell to, then like approved or something like this. You will only be able to select clients that you can actually sell something for them. And that's something that's really interesting because it's actually filtering in the connected table. And it's going to automatically only show options that are active for you. So it could be a bit too much if it's a small company, but it's an important way to control your leads as well or clients. And it could be active, inactive, or it could be other status as well. But usually two is more than enough to build a process.
Exactly. So cool. As you can see, I went back to the client's SMB table and I've created a status field with active, inactive. Like Banak said, it could be some different kind of term here. It could be available, unavailable, and so on. I'm going to leave it as active and inactive just so you guys can see how it works. So I'm going to go back to the opportunities SMB table, and I'm going to create a connection field, and I'm going to be able to select a client here, right? So clients SMB, I'm going to sort them alphabetically by name. And now I'm going to add a filter because I have that status in the client's database. And I'm going to say here that I only want to select clients whose status is active, right? So if I turn a client to inactive, I'm not going to be able to select them here in the opportunities SMB table. Okay, so I'm going to add an icon here. Let me see. Just here, a little person, and select a color here. There you go. So I'm going to create this. There you go. So now I can select a client. But maybe this is not a client that is registered to the client's database. Maybe this is a lead. I don't want to pollute the client's database with all the leads because maybe I don't have such a high conversion rate. Maybe I only have a conversion rate of like 10%, 20%. So if I start registering everybody as clients, I'm going to pollute the information. So the leads are going to be registered here in the opportunities. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a name, field, email, and phone for contact. So these are the fields that I'm going to create now. There you go. Okay, so now I can select the client, and I'm also going to add a text field, which I'm going to format as rich text. So I can have a description, which is kind of like notes, observations about this opportunity, right? Okay, so usually when we're talking about opportunities, when we're talking about a CRM, we have the contact, so we have the client name, email, phone, and so on. But also we should probably have a currency field for the amount of the sale, right? So we're going to add this. And usually we also have a percentage field for the probability. And this is usually used to calculate a predicted revenue, right? We're going to get to that stage, but usually in CRMs, in opportunities, what you do is you multiply the amount by the probability to arrive at a predicted revenue for that month, for that quarter, and so on. Okay, so I have the amount, I have the probability. I should probably have a user field for the owner or owners of that opportunity. Usually it's one user, but I'm going to use multiple users because maybe there's a special situation in which you have two people working on the same opportunity and so on. Okay, so now we have amount, probability, owner, and two things that are usually marked in opportunities is temperature and urgency or importance, right? So you usually have a way of tagging this. So I'm going to create option fields here for temperature. So I can have a cold lead and I can have a warm lead. So I'm going to get a different one here and a hot lead. And I'm going to add a new field for priority. So I have low priority, medium priority, and high priority. There you go. One field that I forgot to create here was one for attachments. So I'm going to create this one as well. And I think for now, that's it. The other three fields that I'm going to create here, mainly to put them on the cover of the Kanban board that we're going to use it as a CRM, is a tasks field, which is basically a mirror showing me the number of tasks created to that and attached to that opportunity. I'm going to create a chat field, which also is also a mirror showing me the number of messages and mentions in that opportunity. And I'm also going to create a field called time in status, so I can know exactly how much time it's been since that opportunity, that deal went to a certain stage. Of course, we're going to have the SLA features as well. We're going to talk about this, but I also want to have this in the cover of the card, so I'm going to create this field as well. Time in stage. I don't have the stage yet, sorry. So I have to create the stage beforehand, which is the last field that we're going to create here, which basically is the field that dictates the stages that I have in the CRM, right? So I'm going to create a stage field, and I'm going to create just some stages. You could have more, you could have less. It kind of depends on your sales process. So I'm going to have new, I'm going to have meeting, proposal, won, and lost. And I'm just going to change the colors because they're going to appear in the Kanban board. There you go. And lost. Okay, so these are going to be the stages of my CRM, of my opportunities board. You have to create a single option field for that. And you can see here that I have these log metrics. I have the SLA. This is going to measure how much time an opportunity spent on a certain stage. So we're going to activate this, and you guys are going to see how this reflects when we start using the CRM, right? So last thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to create the field that I tried to create beforehand, which is time and status, which I'm going to call time and stage. And we're going to monitor the stage field. There you go. We could have some other information here, other fields. Maybe as we start setting up the forms and the Kanban boards, I remember some other kind of field that it's important to have here. But we're going to start already setting up the forms, right? So what do I mean by forms? When I try to create a new opportunity, you're going to see that I click here on new role, and this is the field for creating a new opportunity. And similarly, if I try to open a record, this is how it looks like. So there's the same form here, right? So it works. There's nothing wrong with it, but we can customize this further to make it more aesthetically pleasing and more with a better usability, right? Because we can customize how many fields are going to appear, in which stages they're going to appear, and this is going to make it so I don't waste as much space as having one field per row, right? So this works, but it could be better, and we're going to set this up now. Okay, so to do this, we're going to click here on build to activate the building mode, and we're going to click here on forms. And just a reminder, forms in Jestor can be traditional forms, so forms like public forms that you set up in your website to receive information, for people to submit information, and you get them here in your account. But forms in Jestor can also be the panels or windows that you open to create new records and to edit pre-existing records, right? And when I click here on the forms settings of a table, these are the forms that I can edit. So the creation form is this window that opens when I try to create a new record, and update form is when I open a record, right? So to make it clearer, we're going to start setting up one now, and I'm going to start customizing the creation form. So for the creation form, you can see that before I even customize the form, I can set up, for example, the window style. So when I click here on new row, it opens as a center window. So you can see here, it opens like this. But one thing that I could do, for example, is set this up as a right side panel, as a right side window, right? So if I save this and try to create a new record now, it opens here to the side. So I can customize how I'm going to input the data, right? So this is what customizing the form does. Okay, so I'm going to use this as a right side panel just for creation, and I'm going to edit the custom form. Okay, so for the title, and I'm going to leave this here open just so you see. This is the title, this part on the upper part of the form. I'm going to customize this so it says new opportunity, and I'm going to add a custom description of use this form to create a new opportunity. Just an example, right? I'm not going to add a cover and logo. We're going to do this in other forms. Then you guys will be able to see what it looks like. But here it doesn't make sense to have an image or logo or something like that. Okay, so now I have to select the fields that I want to fill out when creating a new opportunity. So the title, okay, I should probably have that. Client, name, email, phone, they should be here. We're going to have conditionals here, but I'm going to talk about this later. Description, amount, probability, okay, they should be here. Owner, temperature, priority, attachments, all of them are probably useful to be here, right? But we're going to remove tasks and chats and time in stage, right?
Just as a comment, I was building here a CRM as well with AI just to compare what we're doing. And one thing that the AI did was it was quite interesting, but maybe it's more for companies that are selling services or projects. They also had the AI suggested a field for connected projects. So sometimes you have not a project, but you have a proposal for a customer. And this proposal has specific fields and has a pattern and everything. It might be interesting in this case to have like a table for proposal or something like this just to connect with your opportunity, because then maybe we could build like a PDF with all the fields and so on. Like, but we could do this in another step, maybe um, later on with proposal management system together with the opportunities and so on. Just as a comment, because I thought it was interesting that the AI suggested this field as well.
Yeah, sure. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Usually you have more than one proposal by opportunity, right? You could at least have that possibility. If we have time today, we will build a separate table
Also,
for that.
so we don't forget, like maybe next week, we could add a table for commissions. So if you
Oh,
want to
cool.
pay commissions, and then you have the owner, and you will have the owner, the size of the opportunity, the commission, and then we could connect with the financial system or financial tool that we have built as well, like a
Sure.
payable or something.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, we can do that. So I'm going to finish here customizing the forms, and then we can see these structures as well. But I've just selected all the fields that I want, right? And we're going to start editing the fields themselves, I have this edit icon here. So the title should be required, for example, so I can set a field as required in that form. And client name, email, and phone, I'm not going to leave them as required yet. I'm just going to leave them here for now. One thing that I'm going to do is add a inline block. And for those who don't know, a form block is something that changes the looks or changes the functionalities of the form, the way you interact with fields. So what I'm going to do here is add inline blocks so that email and phone number are right next to each other. I'm going to show what it looks like later. So I have the description for the opportunity. I have the amount and probability. Amount and probability are also things that I want to put right next to each other. So I'm going to add a new inline block. Owner, I have temperature and priority attachments here. I'm going to leave it right next to owner. Okay, so I have temperature, priority, and stage left. What I'm going to do here is, if I try to create a new opportunity, you're going to see here that priority and temperature look like this, right? It's a drop-down field. One thing that I could do is change the way the single option field looks like and how I interact with that information. So for example, I'm going to click here on temperature, and I'm going to see them as radio vertical, for example. And I'm going to do the same thing for the priority. Here we go. And I'm going to create a new inline block so I can see them right next to each other. Finally, I have the stage. And for the stage, I'm going to change the way that I'm going to see this. I'm going to use button-like because it gives me a sense of progression. And I'm also going to add a predefined value of new. So every opportunity that I start creating is going to be pre-selected as new, but I'm not going to hide this field because maybe you're already talking with a lead and you want to send them to the proposal stage or something like this. So I'm going to leave this open, right? So I'm going to save this just so you guys can see what it looks like right now. So there you go. I have title, client, name, email, and phone. They're right next to each other here. Amount and probability as well. And I have temperature and priority as radio fields right next to each other, right? So some things that I want to do here is I can select a client, or I can register a new lead, right? But if I select a client here, and you can see that I can only select active clients because we did the filter. If I select a client, it doesn't make sense to show name, email, and phone number fields anymore, right? And vice versa. If I register a new lead, I shouldn't have to select a client. So what I'm going to do here is edit the creation form and add conditionals, right? So I'm going to create conditionals. And one thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to hide the name, email, and phone fields. I'm going to call this hide new lead info. So I'm going to hide this if I select a client. So if the client field is not empty. And I'm going to add a new condition for the reverse, right? So I'm going to hide client. So I'm going to hide the client field if I fill out, for example, the name of the new lead. So what this is going to do, and you're going to see this here, is that I have these fields here for client and name, but as soon as I select a client, I don't have to put in the information for the new lead anymore because it doesn't make sense, right? And similarly, if I start filling out the information for a new lead, the client field is going to disappear, right? So I have these conditionals going on, right? Now all I have to do is finish setting up the style of the form. So what I'm going to do here is disable form responses. I don't want copies of the form submission when I create a new client, a new opportunity. And I'm going to change the color. I'm going to select the same colors and leave it all white. And I'm going to give it a smaller
One thing
title.
that's important here, we are spending a lot of time building the table, and instead of the Kanban, usually people, as we said before, people would for the spend more time like building a Kanban and adding this information and everything, but it's way more organized if you start with the table. You don't need to start with the table. You can start with the Kanban and build it and add the fields from the Kanban and so on. It's a little bit easier visually, but here it's easier to just see all the variables at once, customize your forms, and then later on to create the Kanban and everything is just few clicks and it's done.
Exactly. So now what we're going to do is the same thing for the edit, for the update form when I open the record. So I'm not going to explain this much, just a few things before we start customizing the form itself, is that now I can not only customize the form, but select the tools that I want available when I open a record. For example, I want to have the chat, I want to have the tasks, I want to have the SLA, email connected records, and records history, some other things I don't want to use. So I'm just going to remove them, right? And I can also select how I want to see the information. If it's 2 panels, 3 panels, 4 panels, and so on, I'm going to select a traditional, just the opportunity information and a tool, right? So I'm going to use a double window. So now I'm just going to go over the form itself, right? So the same thing that I did beforehand, I'm going to create some inline blocks here for the email and phone number. Let's see, there you go. For the amount and probability as well. So just going to, there you go. Amount and probability. I have the owner, I have the attachments, temperature and priority. I'm going to see this as a radio vertical. There you go. I'm going to remove the task parts, the chat. I only want them in the Kanban board. There you go. I'm going to add the inline block here for temperature and priority. And the last thing that I want here is the stage, which I'm also going to see as a button-like view. Okay, so I'm going to set up the same conditionals here. I'm going to hide some fields depending.
Also, explain like the default fields so they understand why they are there and how should they select them.
Cool. Just going to finish this conditional here, and I'm going to explain it. So just a second. There you go. So basically, when I'm setting up conditionals, I think that you guys already understood what the conditional itself does. And this top part is the default fields. And default fields are fields that are going to appear by default. As soon as you open the card and despite the conditions, right? So basically what this means is if none of the conditionals, if none of the conditions are true, if they don't act on the form, these are the fields that are always going to appear, right? So basically you can think about this, that these are fields that are always going to be shown unless I have a condition that says they don't have to appear. So this is basically the idea behind the default fields. So I'm just going to set up the second condition. There you go. So I'm going to hide the client field. If I fill out a name, right? There you go. And now I only have to set up the style and we're done. So the background color and the title background and the button color. There you go. So now I have this going on, right? So now I have this card here with these tools available, right? So basically I've set up the forms that I needed. One thing that I forgot to do is create a formula for the predicted revenue. So I'm going to do that now. And this is the last thing that I'm going to do for now in this field. Currency. So the predicted revenue is just going to be the amount of the opportunity times the probability of closing that opportunity, right? So just to show you guys how this will look like, right? I'm going to create, edit here and have an opportunity with consulting services. Consulting services regarding marketing. Amount I'm going to put in $2,500. Probability I'm going to add is 90%. I'm the owner. This is a hot lead and has a medium priority, and I have it on the new stage. So you can see now that I put this in a stage and the SLA started tracking, right? So it tells me aggregated information about how much time was spent on the stage and the sequential information as well. Because sometimes an opportunity can bounce around back and forth between stages, right? So this is going to give you the information on these two fronts, right? I'm going to delete the other cards here for now. And this is what I want my table to look like. Okay, so now let's build the Kanban board and a dashboard just to move on from the table from the database itself. Now we're going to build the first page of the CRM, which is the Kanban board, the CRM itself as people think of it, right? So there you go. I'm going to just change some styles here. For the icon, I'm going to add a fire icon here and use the same color that I've been using this whole time. And the first thing that I'm going to do here is create a Kanban board. I also forgot to name this. So this is going to be my CRM. There you go. And I'm going to look at the opportunities SMB table with the stage field as my stage field. So you can see that I have here that car, that opportunity that I've just created, right? So now I have to select the fields that are going to appear in the cover of this card here on the front facing part of the opportunity. So I'm going to say that I want to see, for example, the client, if it's a previously registered client, or the name of the client if it's a new lead. I'm also going to show the amount, right? And I'm going to want to see the tasks, chat, and time in stage, right? So you can see that these are just like kind of shortcut information for the number of mentions, the number of comments, and how much time this has been in the new stage, for example. Okay, so now we're going to do some other things, right? I could add filters, for example. I could only show cards that I'm the owner, for example. The owner. This is a important information to have here. And I don't know if it's too much information, but I could also have the temperature and the priority, right? Just to show you guys, I can remove this later. There you go. So I could have those as well here, temperature and priority. I can remove this later if it proves to be too much information, right? I could have filters, so only show my own cards where I'm the owner, for example, and I can sort them, for example, alphabetically or by priority and so on. But I'm not going to sort them right now. And I could change the columns here. Right now I have all of the stages here showing on the Kanban board. But if I didn't want to see a stage, I could remove them, right? But I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to change the card color. It's in dark mode. I'm going to leave it white. And also, I'm going to change the size of the card, right? So it's going to be small, so I can see more stages in my screen now, because I don't have wide information here as well. Okay, cool. So one thing that's bothering me, I want the amount under the owner. There you go.
The nice thing is like as we were saying, like it's a bit hard to see this, all of this, just looking to the table. But now it's way easier to just have everything that you need in one card or your form and everything else.
Exactly. So we have some style information here just to share, guys. I can hide fields that are empty. For example, I don't have a lead name here, so I can show this information or not. I can show, you can see that I only have the information here, but not the name of the field. I could do this and show that this is temperature, this is priority, this is client, this is owner, and so on. I don't think it's important to have this here right now because we don't have information that can be mistaken for other kinds of information. So I'm going to leave this off. This is also going to make the card more compact, right? So it looks a little bit better for me. And I can also have things like title highlight and stage border color. I'm going to show what this means later, but this is basically a way for me to color a card or a stage manually, right? And one thing that I could do here is create a conditional color so that all of the cards where I'm the owner are in a different color, for example, but I'm not going to do this. I don't think it's necessary here. It's just to show you guys how it works. You can also see that I have the SLA feature toggle on, and this is going to show me the average, for example, of how much time a card spends in the stage, right? I could disable this, but I think it's a nice feature to have this toggle on. And also, I could have other things that I think I shouldn't disable here. But for example, I could disable the drag and drop of the card, so I wouldn't be able to drag it for a different stage here. I would have to open the card and select the stage, but I want to be able to drag them.
Yeah,
So
this only makes sense if you have like a really strict process. Like the
like
salesperson cannot move a stage without the opportunity value in like you need to make sure that they fill out all the information. Sometimes it makes sense. If usually if we salespeople they tend to not fill out all the information. However, it's not ideal for us to assume this for most of the companies, most small companies. So we are going to just allow you to do this. However, keep in mind that if you want to add like strict rules for moving your cards, then we can use automations and also other rules to make sure that they are going to follow the process as intended.
Exactly. Usually, you're going to disable this for, like Banat said, stricter processes like reimbursement requests, for example, where you need approvals and so on. But in this case, we're going to leave this off, right? And now we can select the forms that we're going to use in this Kanban board. And we're going to use the forms that we just set up in the table itself, right? But this is one important thing. In Jestor, you could have different forms for different Kanban boards that see the same information, right? So it's very customizable, but we're going to leave this as the default table forms itself. So I'm going to save this, and you guys are going to see now that if I try to use this Kanban board, I click here, and it's the exact same form that I had set up beforehand, all the information here. And if I try to create a new card, it's going to pull out the information here, for example. So if I try to create a new card, you're going to see that it's using the form that I set up beforehand, right? So one last thing that I want to do here, and I'm just going to create a task to this opportunity just to show you guys how it looks like on the front facing part of the Kanban board. So send email. I'm going to add a priority here so I can create a task for this opportunity. I can set a deadline, and there you go. I'm going to create a task, and it's already reflecting here on the cover of the card, right? So I can see here. I'm also going to create a new message here. So I'm working on this one, and this is going to update here, right? So I have all of this information on the cover of the card. So one thing that I want to create here is a filter and a title bar. The title bar is important because it's going to give me a button for adding a new opportunity, but it also provides me with a place to attach a filter for the Kanban board, right? So I'm going to create here. The add record button is going to add a new opportunity. And I'm going to use the form of the table itself. There you go. And one last thing that I want to do here is create a new filter. So I'm going to create a new filter. I'm going to create a flexible filter. So people can create filters on the go. I don't have to set a quick filter. They can create their own filters. But just to show you guys, I'm also going to create an owner filter. And this is a filter of the type user. So I'm going to be able to select a user and filter the Kanban board by the owner, right? So I could have more quick filters for temperature, for other stuff, but I'm just going to create these ones to show you guys. And now that I have this filter created down here, I'm going to go back to the title bar, and I'm going to attach that filter that I've just created to the title bar. And there you go. And you guys can see that I can select an owner here. It's going to filter the information. Of course, there's only one card here, but I could also create a custom filter, and I can create a new opportunity. So this CRM is already looking quite nice, right? And one thing, I think it's the last thing that we're going to be able to create today, given the time, is that I want a dashboard for this CRM, right? So I'm going to create a new blank app. There you go. I'm going to call this dashboard CRM SMB. We can change this name later. It's just to make it easier to find it, right? I don't have to change the icon right now. I'm going to change the colors so it's in light mode like the other ones. And we can have some fields of information here. One thing that I could have here is a speedometer. So I can see how
This is
much
really cool for sales.
Yeah, so I can see
I would
how,
make it big, like just in one line, and then the other ones below it.
sorry,
I would make this really big, like one line, like really wide.
it's just that I have to set up like this. There you
Yeah, but
go.
then you can center it. I don't know if it's we should add like lots of stuff around it.
Yeah, this is going to be a simpler dashboard. We can do more stuff with it later. So I'm going to do just like I said. I'm going to create a speedometer here on up top, and then another one below it. So this speedometer could be deals so closed right this month, and I'm going to get information from the opportunities table. And I have to fill out some information here for calculated value and so on. So for example, the current value is a calculated value. I'm going to get information from a sum in the table. So I'm going to sum the amount fields for the deals that are stage is closed, is one, sorry. So this is the current value. This is what I'm measuring, right? The minimum value is going to be a custom value. The minimum value is where the speedometer begins, right? So it's going to be 0. And the maximum value is going to be also a custom value. So maybe I never sell more than like 50,000 in a month. So this is going to be my maximum value. And I can have a goal value for what I want to sell in the month. So I can have here, for example, custom value of 25,000 or 30,000, just so it's not centered. There you go. So we're going to do this. And I have 0 because I haven't closed any deals yet, right? So I'm going to go back to the CRM, and I'm going to change this to 1, for example. And now if I go back to that app, you can see that it's already showing that I've sold 2,500, right? Other types of charts that I can have here is, for example, the pie chart. So I could have a opportunities by stage. I only have one opportunity, so this is only going to show one thing, but it's just to show guys. I'm going to divide it by stage, and I'm going to get the amount. There you go. This is just an example. And we could have indicators. So for example, I could have the predicted revenue, predicted incoming revenue, and I'm going to get the opportunities and the predicted revenue, and I'm going to sum it. Of course, I should add filters, but because I only have one card, I'm not going to add filters yet. Otherwise, a lot of things are going to be blank. But we can add those here as well. So I have here. So cool. I have some charts. I have some indicators and so on. I'm just going to remove the background color of the speedometer. There you go. There you go. Cool. For the pie chart, we can remove the borders here as well. But just so we finish and add this to the main template, I'm going to go back to the CRM and I'm going to add a top bar. And the top bar is going to be the navigation between the Kanban board and the dashboard, right? So we've just updated the top bar. It has more options now, right? So for example, I can have a round with icons. You can see here how it looks like. Uh, for the CRM, I don't want this. I want with custom icons, and I'm going to add the dashboard.
I think the round option also has custom icons. So if you want
I
to
think
try
it
it out,
has, but
I haven't tried this yet.
it doesn't have customized icons, I think.
Oh, okay.
But there you go. I'm going to select the CRM, and I'm going to add the same icon, and the dashboard is going to be this icon here. I'm going to remove these shortcuts. I don't want them here. There you go. And this is what the CRM looks like right now. Of course, we can resize, we can add more stuff here. It's
We
just
can
an
do this
example.
like side by side since it's only three. Maybe if we think about like a TV or something, it would be interesting. You could leave the speedometer in the center, maybe. No, no, no. Like three, only three in the same line, same height.
How do you want to do this? Sorry.
Uh, they are all the same height, but all in the same line,
Ah, okay, sure.
side by side.
So let's
And one thing
go.
is, you could use all the space side by side, and no, everything in the same line.
Yeah, I'm just
Ah,
measuring
okay.
the the. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to just edit this because I don't want a donut. I want a
Pizza.
bar chart. Okay, there you go. And there you go. So of course we could have more components here, but I think that just for demonstration purposes,
Yeah,
uh,
the one on the left is a little bit small. It's should be a little bit taller, and I would make all of them like with the white background because it's better on the editing view than the no, no, it could be the same size, no, no, same height, but then with the white background.
oh, okay.
Usually
Background
people like to
color.
have like a background on charts and indicators. And as a suggestion, you could like people could add like a table under it or more indicators. So for example, if you want to add like opportunities by opportunity value, for example, then you can duplicate that and just change the variable. And the same for the indicator. So there's lots of different stuff that could do there, like total commissions or something like this. You could add. So nice.
Exactly. So let's go back to the main template, and all we have to do now is add the CRM that we've just built to the menu. I'm also going to add the opportunities here. There you go. So now I have the finance part, which we built the other session, and now I have the CRM, which I have to refresh to show the top bar because it's in my cache in the browser. Here you go. So I have the finance part and I have the CRM. So now I have the top bar here. So I have the CRM. I can click here on new opportunity and it's all customized just like I did before, right? And I can cycle up top here to the dashboard. We can make a better dashboard. We can keep iterating and creating more components and reports and indicators and so on. But just because we're running out of time, I just wanted to have a dashboard here to show you guys. So that's the general idea. And the idea now is that now that we have the CRM, in another session, we're going to create the automations so that when you close a deal, we're going to register the new client if it's a new client, and then later on we're going to automate the receivable. We're going to create the receivable automatically as well. But now we have the structure and we have the app, the interface for the CRM itself now.
Nice. So we'll be back next week with we will continue to build this solution. So if you have suggestions for next week, just leave on the comments and subscribe to the channel so you know when we have live sessions and the theme of each session as well. You guys, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.